Okay. Um, so when I tried to set this up, first off, the phone slid down, like the shaft of my driving wheel and set off the windshield wipers, which is kind of funny, but this car's just been sitting out here for a couple of weeks now and collecting dust on the outside. But anyways, well, I have a little bit of time, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get in the assignment, 100% on time. May still take a hit for being late. I'm doing the best I can right now, motivation-wise and all that. And this video is supposed to be my like 6-month update video. I know I did like my 180 days, Nofap, update video for the day, but I wanted to sort of take a bit of a look back. And I say a bit of a look because not only have I gone over a lot of things that have happened already, but some of them are not really all that inspiring or positive, But suppose I could start off with some positives over the last, last 3 months. I finished paying off one of the federal student loans, so I only have one account left, and that's currently in forbearance until the end of, I think it's till the end of September, even though on the actual account it says that they're not expecting payments until November. I'm not sure why there's that discrepancy there, but maybe it's because I paid off one of the accounts and they just decided to give me like a extra month or so. And then the next student loan up, I have that half paid off now. I'll get into talking my plans for that in a little bit, but needless to say, I wanted to have that paid off in the near future, next few months at the latest. And I wanted to get my car loan paid off by the end of the year. We'll see how that works out. If I'm able to come up with the extra cash and just throw it at that, so I can have this car paid off. And I'll have that all 100% to my name at the very least. I mean, I don't want to think about worst case scenarios. I know I've had friends who've had to, live out of their car, live out of their truck or so, and I would not want to be one of those guys. But and life can, if I'm life can pull a 180 on you, and if I think I've probably made that clear. And if I bring it up, I'll probably talk about some of the stuff that kind of supports that sort of conclusion, but or that sort of idea. But for the stuff that's happened in the last few months. But that's starting off with a little bit of positive stuff. I do also have that starter emergency fund, that money socked away in there, about $1,000 right now in my savings account. So I've gone back to that at least, and that's sort of my finances right now. And everything else seems to have just fallen apart. And this is kind of where I turn into a bit of sort of the negative stuff. It's almost like I'm trying to do a compliment sandwich, what they used to call it. I don't know if they use that term nowadays, because I know like a few years ago when I was taking this engineering technical writing class in college, the professor who she's kind of a bodacious babe, to be honest with you. It's kind of weird to have to say that, but she was kind of attractive. But she had this term, compliment sandwich, where it's like you start off with something positive, then you get into the criticism, and then you end on something positive, And so the finance thing, I mean, I think it's probably the most positive thing over the last few months that's happened. Getting to that sort of point where I'm at a point where I could kind of assuming other things fall into place, I could see myself sitting here a year from now and have either be within a stone's throw of, or possibly be at the point where I'd be financially debt free, and then I could, look towards like financial independence, building up actual wealth and that sort of thing. But so the negatives. Well, anyone who's been following me last, I don't know, was it like 2 weeks of videos or so, maybe more than that. This stuff actually started like how many years? It was more like a month and a half to 2 months ago. But essentially, all this stuff went down at work where now I don't have work. I don't have a job. I got terminated. And I think I would still be working there if I hadn't said a few things that I said in anger. Or I'd given a different hypothetical scenario to my manager, or maybe I, had different body language to begin with. But there was this whole sort of like love triangle forming up, or that had formed up with this girl at work who was essentially, if I were to sum it up, I have this, perspective on it that she was going to work not to like do work, but it was like she was going to work to find a boyfriend. And at first it seemed like I was sort of the top candidate for that. And whether I said something I was off or off color, or I was just, not exciting or entertaining enough, or she thought, that I was too old or something, I didn't have enough hair on my head or whatever. She quickly lost interest, moved on to another guy, and then she was essentially like acting all standoffish and, I'd say hostile, or she at least gave out the vibe of being, hostile to me in the lab. And I basically like I put two and two together and finally like found them together. They weren't doing anything like, but it was serving. It was basically like it's the closest thing to them, like, being out on some date or just hanging out, the way people, they talk about hanging out today. Oh, let's just hang out and we'll see what happens. There's no sort of plan. They want it spontaneous and all that. But series of events that led me to, being really hurt about it, angry, and ultimately leading me to reporting the whole scenario to the management and escalating with HR. And they came back and said that, that I was, that there was no hostile work environment, that they thought I was, making stuff up or exaggerating things. But they concluded also that, from what I can tell, I know I got terminated, but I was told that I was not going to be the only one losing, my job. And from everything I've been able to, dig up, so to speak, she's not working there either anymore. Because they also, as much as they, canned me, or, kind of sacked me, to use the, British terminology. So much as they decided to get rid of me, and were, dead set on that because of some of the things I said and my behavior, because I got really angry and it was really obvious. Like I decided to leave early that day when I found out, when I kind of like there was no sort of like rationalizing or beating around the bush and saying, I don't think anything's really going on with them, or, like her behavior hadn't really changed and all that. But when it behavior changed and I found out about that, and I got really angry and I decided to leave early, by about an hour, so I could just go home and get out of there, not be in that situation. As much as they decided, taking all that into consideration, taking into consideration some of the things I said to another coworker who I was basically trying to like get a lot of the stuff off my chest to, which in retrospect might not have been the most intelligent thing or, the best thing to do, but I was kind of done with that place to begin with. But much as they took all that into consideration and decided to, terminate my employment, I was told that all the things that she had said and done, in the workplace was completely unacceptable. Some of the conversations she decided to have, her behaviors, etc., etc., it was like, in order to be impartial, in order to nip things in the bud in order to excise the tumor, so to speak, or remove the infected, area essentially of the body of the company or of the team. They decided to terminate both her and myself. And at first it really kind of sucked. And for a couple weeks there, I was like moping about it and feeling really bad, and I had to talk with my family, having to discuss it on this channel. But I kind of got over it. I mean, I think I'm mostly over the job part, because I really didn't like the job ultimately, and I felt like it really wasn't getting me what I need to get in order to actually get into, let's say, a full-time engineering position. But also just being in an environment where that kind of stuff can be allowed to form and fester, especially in comparison to the company I worked at before this last one, which I've gone over, multiple times, where they did not have that kind of stuff, or at the very least, it wasn't like out in the open. It wasn't like, in everybody's face, or I mean, there was one case where like this girl at that company, she was already working there, and then she helped her boyfriend get a job at the company, but like that relationship was pre-existent, and there was never any really like outrightly flirtatious behavior from any of the female coworkers. There weren't girls showing up there flirting with their coworkers or their manager, supervisor, whoever, at least from what I could tell or I could see, they weren't coming there, okay, I'm here to try to find a boyfriend. It was like, I'm here to do work. I got my biology or chemistry degree or my engineering degree, and I really want to do something with that, and that's what they were there for. They weren't there because, well, I have to work, but what I really want is some excitement on the side. You see, my daddy won't let me have a boyfriend, but while I'm here, he doesn't know what I'm up to. He thinks I'm just at work. So I'm going to, do this, crap on the side sort of thing. And, but yeah, like, man, so they terminated her, they terminated myself. I'm getting a severance package from that. Should be actually be paying out next Friday. So I'll have to hang tight till then, financially speaking. Depending upon whether or not I can get a job at the old place or some other, location. Truth is that I'll probably be taking most of that and just throwing that, for one thing, at the remainder of that student loan debt on that one loan, which is the one that my uncle signed on to. And I'll be taking the, chunk of change that's left after that and paying for a certification class for one of the automated liquid handling robot systems. At least, it's like the first level of that. And then hopefully my plan will be to save up enough money in the future to take level 2 and then, basically knock that out. And if I can then go with that from that point on and start knocking out more certifications, I essentially need to get those because, it's like if I don't do that, I'm just going to be stuck as some low-level technician. And, it's kind of funny that, it's kind of like when you're young, you don't really think about this kind of stuff. You don't really deal with it. Your parents are the ones, if they're around, if you have a relatively healthy, relatively functional family, your parents are the ones dealing with all this sort of stuff. But, as you get older and you start dealing with money issues, it's kind of like, if I want to be, myself, looking for in 3 months in the future, if I want to be in the kind of spot, in the kind of position where I'm able to do my best work, academically speaking, let's say, I need to have my finances in tip-top shape. And that's not going to happen if I'm having to do low-level technician grunt work. It's too much effort, and you know what else? It's like the caliber of people you deal with. You're not dealing with folks who are mature and got it together and understand, the way things are supposed to work, and that, look, at work, you're just not supposed to. You're not supposed to be dating coworkers. You're not supposed to be flirting around, giving it. Heck, you're not supposed to give any indications that you'd be open to that. Because, part of that situation was where I ended up asking out that girl because she'd been throwing all these IOIs my way, giving indications that she was interested in me and she might want to date and that sort of thing. And physically speaking, she was like drop dead gorgeous. But maturity wise, not there. And it's kind of like the irony of life that when women are the most desirable, they're also the most immature and flaky and all that. And it's sort of like, what, you have to like wait around until they're in their 30s or their 40s and they've kind of been banged up and damaged by the screwing around with the guys who are good at pushing their buttons. And then it's kind of like, oh, now you get your chance. Like, I'm not playing that game. But yeah, in conclusion, I lost my job. I'm looking for a new one, trying to move up. I'm probably gonna have to go back to the old company just at the very least, so that there won't be any like immediate questions about what happened at this place. Because the folks at the old company are, they sound like they're more than willing to take me back, and I'll be working most likely in a different department. So expanding my skill set and that sort of deal. But so much of it is I just need a stable work environment where I'm not dealing with extraneous bull crap, And that's because, look, the stuff I'm trying to do, my aim right now, whether or not and I'll talk about the class in a bit, whether or not I continue with this class or I have to retake it later on, or, however things work out. The reality is the stuff I'm trying to do is high level enough. Biomedical engineering is a field I'm trying to get my master's degree in, that I can't afford to be in a sort of a victimizing scenario where it's like this kind of stuff is going down. Because I honestly, like, I'm of the mindset and the understanding that, like, with this girl, her reminding me of the girl I had issues with in undergrad, that if I had tried to stay out of all of this, stuff, like, I inevitably would get, like, pulled into it just because, like, that's the kind of girl she is, like, very much the sort of narcissist who love bombs you and, tries to pull you in, really, especially if you're a guy who's kind of, like, looks like he's a bit, standoffish or lukewarm, because, maybe you literally are just trying to do your job, or you're generally not interested, or maybe you are interested in her, but you're kind of like feeling like, okay, there's something wrong in the situation. Like, I don't want to get myself involved in some problematic situation or scenario. And I kind of feel like, being in an environment where that sort of stuff just is not tolerated, from anyone that, they're trying to like do that kind of stuff at work, date around, or, love bomb, flirt, that sort of thing. I would need to be in an environment like that. And it's up to me to make sure that I'm in that kind of environment so that I'm not, I'm not letting myself become a victim, But anyways, that's pretty much it for the job. I don't want to belabor the point any further. But the other thing is the class. And there have been a handful of things that have happened with regards to the class. But the biggest thing was that, okay, so we have a midterm, we have 4 quizzes, we have 4 virtual lab assignments, and then the rest is like homework and pre-lecture quizzes, basically reading quizzes, that sort of thing. But the big problem is that so the first lab assignment, I mean, even if I'd gotten it in, I still would have lost about 30 percentage points because of how late I would have been getting it in. But it was like I had spent 2 or 3 days doing all this data crunching, number crunching, to get all these graphs and all that kind of stuff that I could use. And I did something really, really freaking stupid. When I saved the file, I should not have saved it as a CSV file. I should have saved it as an Excel file, essentially. But I saved it as a CSV file, and I lost, all the additional sheets and the graphs and all that. And on top of that, I was obviously, like I said, I was, so many days late on it. So it was like at that point, like there was no like, oh, I can just go back another day and, and recover that. No, it was like, you know, um, truth be told, it's like, no, it's too late. Even if you were to try and, what's that guy doing? These freaking homeless people are not, I'm sorry. I just, nothing against homeless folks, but I know definitely, like, I don't know how many months ago it was, but someone, most likely a homeless person, went and stole my back license plate, and then I had to get replaced. But so I get kind of skittish when I see somebody going around like that in my neighborhood. But yeah, even if because it was at a point where, to get back on track, it's at a point where like I'd gotten home from work. It was on a Monday, and midnight that night was like the last time you could turn this assignment in. And I was already exhausted as heck. I tried to open the file, and I was like, oh my, no, 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 no. And it was like, no, and I realized what had happened. And because of all of that, that one assignment, at the very least, I think from what I could determine, is worth about almost 4% of the grade. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but given that I'm trying to get into grad school, I have to get a B or higher in these classes. And you take that 3 to 4%, add that to the percentage points I've lost because of some quiz scores, and then now the midterm. The problem is that it's kind of like when you're going for that grade, it's like as time goes on, it's kind of like you have less and less leeway for having some mistake. And I'm trying to do what I can for these assignments and get the stuff done and turned in and all that. But I'm also kind of the mindset that, not kind of, I'm looking at like now, final exam time comes around. I'll run the numbers on my grades, and then I'll determine whether or not I'm going to go take the final or not. Either that, or I could go through like the long and seemingly excruciating process of withdrawing from the class. And it's complicated by COVID, and the fact that they required you to get like supporting documentation and give like a personal statement and get all these like signatures and whatnot. And it's not as simple or as easy as it used to be, where like people were on campus and you could like literally like show up during office hours and be like, professor, here's this form, I need to withdraw, here's my reasons, I need your signature, and then just go around and get the signatures from different people. It's like, I don't know how you're exactly supposed to do that nowadays. And I'd have to get like supporting documentation, whether that would be me using the reason of me losing my job, which I probably wouldn't want to, or getting documentation showing that my dad was hospitalized and with a stroke and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, it'll be a lot of work, and it's sort of like, it's something that I would have to do within this next week. I'd have to somehow get all that stuff together, get that all sent around and signed off, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah, I don't know how I'd be able to go about doing that. So either it's that, or I work on everything, turn everything in up until, the final exam time, run the numbers, and look at things and say, okay, like, do I have enough, tolerance in terms of how many points I can lose on the final exam, to basically be able to get the grade I need to get. Because if we're looking at it like, okay, I have to get a near perfect score on the final, to get a B or higher, like, I'll just I guess I'll just have to take the F or take the D, you know, and then retake it. One of the problems is, of course, that if you get that C, C plus, C minus, you know, anything that's passing, you can't retake the class, and so that's locked in. And that would truly be like the death knell at this point, guaranteed death knell to me ever getting into the grad program over here. Like, that would be it. And yeah, it would not be good. But see, the thing is, with the academics, is that, like, with the way things turned out in undergrad for me, I have to, you know, work doubly or triply hard in order to bring up my GPA up to an acceptable level. And, you know, at first I was leaning towards materials engineering, but then, you know, I got into biotech, and it's kind of like it sort of revived my original dreams of going into tissue engineering and regenerative medicine research, you know, and development. And, you know, partially that, but partially because the BME master's program, if you didn't do your undergrad in BME, you had to take a list of courses, and you got to get certain grades and that sort of thing. So it's like it was sort of built in that I would have the opportunity to raise my grade by completing these courses, in order to get, you know, admitted to the program. But now, you know, running into this, these last few months, it's almost like all along it was like, okay, this is not gonna end well. It's not gonna go well. And you know, here I am. And, you know, like, so much of my concern and my worry with a lot of this stuff is, you know, and I could use Nofap as an analogy. I could use so many different things as analogies, but, you know, I'll use Nofap as an analogy. You know, like when people relapse, you know, when they relapse to PMO, they're sitting there going, like, and they're trying to do like an after action report or debriefing, like, you know, hey folks, or hey guys, like, hey guys and gals, you know, I relapsed to PMO, and, you know, I'm feeling really down or whatever. It's like if you get to the point, or they get to the point where, you know, they're looking back and going, okay, so, like, where did all this start? You know, if you want to sort of figure out, like, okay, here's the process that led me to relapsing so that I don't do it again, that sort of thing. You know, there's always that sort of point. There's that point where it's like, okay, if you had taken, you know, this direction, you wouldn't have relapsed. If you'd taken that direction, you wouldn't have relapsed. You know, if you'd done X, Y, Z instead, you know. And for me, I kind of feel like there was a point along there, and I think it was literally that week that lab assignment was due. And, you know, if I want to take the personal responsibility side of things, you know, right now, starting off, I say I probably should listen to a bit of the warning from the professor saying, you know, get started on this early. But on the other side of things, there's the fact that, like, you know, this man, it's ironic, but, like, a night shift job is actually way better for me, even academically speaking, because on the other side of things, you know, there's this sort of, like, dynamic at work where it's like, okay, you got to be up at 5:30 a.m., 6 a.m. in the morning in order to get to work on time. And then you end up getting through work, and it's like by the time you're done and you're at home, you're exhausted, or you're just wound up, and you want to, like, wind down. So then you end up taking an hour or two to wind down. And by then it's like 6:37, and you're wanting to go to sleep, you know. But, oh wait, I got this assignment to do, and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, I know there are people out there who go through this, and they get through, and they do it, and it's just the grind they gotta go through. But, you know, I had a similar grind at the other workplace, but for some reason I was able to not only make all the money I made, making nearly 6 figures and paying off a whole ton of debt, but I was also able to get an A-. And there was, like, something different there. There was just something different at work, literally and figuratively at work, that made it such that that it worked. It worked out. And it's like, okay, so what about this situation that's different, and how can we not repeat this, because I'm so worried or concerned that it's like that I don't want to look back 5 years from now and be like, oh, this one class, you didn't know at the time, but that class or that moment was the time when your grad school dreams ended and you didn't even know it. I don't want to be in that sort of spot where it's like looking back and going, man, if I'd only done that lab assignment, on time, or if I'd only gotten it in, even if I lost 30 percentage points, I'd be sitting here with a master's, and I wouldn't be, blah blah blah. I don't want to be in that spot, and I don't know if I'm past the point of no return. I'm trying to tell myself I'm not. I'm trying to tell myself that even if I fail the class and I can retake it, and I'll take some other courses over the summer and the fall and turn things around and da 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 da. But it's really something that kind of scares me, if you will. But that's where things stand with this class right now. And that's all the negative stuff. And of course, like I mentioned, my dad had a stroke like about a month and a half ago. I think it was a month. What was it? It was something like that. I think it was in February or March. But yeah, he had a stroke. He's recovering. He's still among the living. He's recovering at home, and they're definitely have to change up their routine at home so that he can not be under so much pressure. But he's in his mid-60s now, having to look for another job because of family finances being what they are now. And that's kind of all like the negative stuff right now. I'm dealing with my landlady and her husband, like bit by bit, trying to sort of like pry information out of me about my employment situation and all that. And it's kind of annoying and frustrating, but if I wanted to try to end on a positive note, I'd say, I'm hoping these lights don't go out in the middle of this, but ending on a positive note would be, for one thing, saying that it looks like my weight loss, program I'm on with my slow carb diet, that it seems to be starting to have an effect. I turned today into my cheat day because I was just feeling like, I was almost feeling like if I didn't turn today into my cheat day, that it would turn into a relapse. Because I've been struggling with, certain content on YouTube, not literally of a pornographic nature, but the kind of stuff that I know that I will start getting into when I'm sort of starting off in that direction of a relapse, like binaural beats and that sort of deal. And, fantasizing, it's kind of, taking its toll on me. And I was just like, okay, I'm just going to get myself some sort of quick fix today with, sugary donuts and all that. And I'll make today my cheat day, and then tomorrow I'll be, back onto the diet, again. I'll do it like that. So, but yeah, I've lost about 4.5 pounds from my original starting weight, which is pretty cool. Other than that, planning for the future. So the next 3 months, obviously, continue on Nofap, get a new job, continue paying down my debt. I want to knock out that student loan that I have halfway paid off right now. I want to knock that out, and whether or not I liquidate the stock that I have from the old company and take that money and throw that at my car loan, and then assuming this is all assuming that I have a new job, that I then rapidly pay that off, maybe even before the end of the year, so I can just start taking aim at the next student loan, which will be the lower of, at that point, the 2 remaining student loans. That's sort of my financial plan right there. Education-wise, let's assume worst case scenario, I fail the class and I gotta retake it. I'll probably be retaking it next spring. In the meantime, I want to sign up for General Chemistry 1 this summer, and then General Chemistry 2 in the fall. Some of these classes is like they're ones that I took for my chemical engineering degree, but I got like a C in them, or I got a B, but I have, the plan is, the ones that I got C's in, retake those, and preferably get A's. Ones that I got B's in, I could take the B and use that, but I would rather, for the sake of GPA, take those classes again and get an A. Hopefully, that'd be the plan. So educationally, that's kind of, the way I'm looking at things. What else? So financially, career-wise, another thing is, I plan on taking $2,500 out of the severance package, at least, and throwing that at the certification course that I've been really wanting to take for the longest time. I just never had the money, and now that I'll have the money, I'm going to be taking care of that. And the earliest one that I've seen that's still open is in June. So essentially, most of the way through the next 3 months. But I'll sign up for that, knock that out. Is me, and then hopefully once that's knocked out, I can try and start saving up for the next one, and then get that taken care of. Hopefully by the end of the year, maybe, if I can. Because those two together, especially if I could throw in some other courses, other certifications, like with some of the other systems they make. There's basically two of them in particular that this company makes, that, these automated liquid handling robots that I know are widely used. If I get those two certs for the Hamilton Microlab Star, that'll be a really solid foundation. And if I can go get the one for the Instinct 5, which is the software for the Hamilton Vantage, that'll be I'll be pretty much set as far as that's concerned. And I can start branching out into other systems. Yeah, so those are my plans going forward. With regards to all that, as far as the whole health and fitness thing, continue on my diet. I really want to drop about 30 pounds total. Even at this point, 30 pounds, get myself down to 170, and then maybe, I'd top that off with maybe losing another 5 or 10 pounds if I could. Get myself down to 165 or down to 160, and we'll see when things start opening up if I can start going swimming again, and go fencing and get involved in extracurricular activities that provide me with entertainment and sort of an outlet. But coming up on 40 minutes, and those are my plans for the future. We'll have to see how things work out, because life can be life can throw curveballs at you. So anyways, that's it for me right now. I have roughly about an hour till the assignment would be late. I'll be getting it done tonight. And if I do end up turning it in late and I lose 10 percentage points, well, then I'll have to deal with that and factor that into my calculations as to how it's going to affect the ultimate outcome. But I am getting it done tonight, and we'll take care of things. Worst case scenario would be tomorrow morning, but I don't even really want to think about that right now. I'm just gonna go grab something to eat and then get back to working on it. So anywho, thanks for watching, and hopefully the future turns out a lot brighter than this dark present, seemingly bleak present. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll try and improvise, adapt, and overcome. So anywho, I'll see you folks around. Thanks for watching. It's my 6-month update video for Nofap. Take care and stay strong. Goodbye.